the elementary years are their base and foundation of their education.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not enjoying school during their elementary year, they're most likely not going to enjoy it for the rest of the years they're in school.
Not only that, if they're not learning the basics in elementary,
Yeah.
once they move up to middle school, they're going to be completely far behind. Hello, world. My name is Tristan.
My name is Kimmy.
And you're now listening to Join
the Conversation Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Join the Conversation Podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Tristan.
My name is Kimmy.
And before we jump into this week's topic, here's a quick recap from last week's episode.
And when you're told as a kid that like you're dealing with this really heavy issue, but you're being told that you're being soft, that kind of messes up not only your worldview on yourself but on other people. Mm-hmm. So when you get older and these things are more prevalent, like when you're in college and you can take the courses necessary to understand what's going on, you're just thinking in your head, like, I was told I was soft the entire time growing up, but like, here are all these specific diagnoses for the things that I was going through, and you come back to your parents with that, and that can like ruin everything.
For this episode, we're going to be dedicating it to our teachers out there, and this episode is specifically going to be dedicated to the education system.
So we did a couple research on exactly how much teachers get paid. It says on here that they get paid around, what's it called? Let me see. I keep scrolling it up. $60,483 across the country, which is a lie, I feel like. I guess it also matters with whether the teachers has their master's degrees, their doctorate, all that plays effect in how much teachers get paid. But for the most part, if you are just an average teacher, you just graduated out of high school and you're starting out, teaching, you're going to get paid around 30-something thousand. 30,700 something, around that range. I'm not 100% sure about this stuff because, like, when you look it up, there's a lot of different numbers, and plus the state you live in also plays a fact in that. But overall, I feel like teachers just don't get paid enough.
But all right, that's all you had.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's just jump right into it. So, of course, if you don't know, Kimberly, my dear Kimberly here, is planning on becoming a teacher. And currently, right now, we both work under the education system.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. It's we work for an after-school program as counselors there. I'm not going to say what school, I'm not going to say all of that, of course, but
yeah.
We just...
I'm sorry.
We just want to, from our personal experience, give our personal thoughts on, I guess you could say, the education system and things that we've seen, we've learned, and et cetera.
Yeah, just like our viewpoint in it, and I guess it's different from how, like, what we work in the environment, because it's after school.
Mm-hmm.
But we see a lot of things that we feel like the education system can improve on.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just feel some type of way. That's all. But go on ahead.
You want to start?
You started.
Oh, get off my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so for me in the education system, and I'm.
He's trying to be a teacher too, in a way.
No, I'm not.
In process, kinda,
sort of, but I'm gonna specifically dedicate have the mindset of my experience from my job. But being a counselor, we've kind of helped the kids with things such as homework. Well, that's just the main thing, but
yeah.
Not the main thing, but part of it, because the rest of the stuff is play and fun. So during homework time is where we really get to see what the kids are learning, what they know, and etc. And I can say that a lot of my kids aren't on the level they should be. So I'm in charge of 2nd and 3rd grade, and a lot of the kids are kind of still on a If not a kindergarten, first grade level. So they can't, like, what I mean by that is, I have a few kids that struggle with me. I mean, of course, there's some kids that struggle with different subjects, but I have kids that struggle with math, and and when I say struggle, they really struggle. So, such as if I ask them,
It's simple math.
yeah,
too.
simple math problems like 7 minus 5 or 7 minus 1, something like that. Sometimes they can't really figure it out, or they don't know the answer. And sometimes I feel like they're just playing, but a lot of times I can tell that they're not just playing and they really don't know.
Yeah.
I'm also working with the job. We work with kids that have, different disabilities such as autism, ADHD, things of that nature. And I have a kid in my group that has autism, and he's in, I guess.
We're not 100% sure about that.
Well, yeah, we're not really 100% sure, but you can obviously tell that there's something there that's an issue. But I think he's listed in the either the third or the second grade. I'm not sure. But they're honestly just pushing him along. They're honestly not focused. Whoever his teacher is, the school system all together, they're really not.
What is that?
I
I
don't
think that's what it does.
Yeah.
It's all right.
But they're really not focused on him actually learning anything. I can say that for sure.
Yeah. Because he's not really
He's not really.
good at comprehending stuff.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of aspect within him.
Yeah. So for him, for example, I remember a time that I was doing math with him, and I asked him. I remember this specific question because it stuck with me, and it kind of made me mad. It didn't make me mad at him, but it made me mad at his situation, the help that he's getting, the help that he's not getting, his teacher, stuff like that, the school system. So he had a math sheet that, like, let's say the top part had simple math. They had blocks. Maybe there was five blocks that were shaded, and then the next stack of blocks together had 2 out of the 10 shaded. So in other words, he had to subtract 5 minus 2 or something of that nature. So we kind of went through that, which he really didn't know. And then the bottom part was addition, but it was like adding up multiple numbers, so such as 6 plus 7 plus 5 plus 3, and getting the total out of that. So that was his worksheet. But for the top part, I remember there was a question of 7. Basically, it was 7 minus 1, and I asked him, what's 7 minus 1, and he told me 3. And then I said, no, try again. He just, at that point, I could tell he was just guessing. He really didn't know. So what I did was, I let him use his fingers. I told him to hold up 7 fingers, and take down 1. At first, his first try, he kind of messed it up. But I said, I had to iterate to him, no, just 1, and he managed to figure it out. But he's really not. They're just pushing him along, and it's sad, and I don't know. Like he needs to be in a special class, a specific class. Not not trying to call it a special class, but a specific class that's dedicated, that's gonna really help and improve him, because he's honestly on a kindergarten level, and they have him in regular classes and just pushing him along, and that's not benefiting him at all. So, what else? I don't want to be long.
You're not.
That's one issue, main issue dedicated around that.
I mean, that, and then, like, I feel like, I don't want to say teachers. I mean, for the most part it is.
Mm-hmm.
As teachers, oh, that was really loud, my bad. As teachers, it's our job to take care of these kids and make sure that they're, achieving their goals and, going on to their stages of education the way they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just teaching them to take a test or simple stuff like that. Like, we're teaching them how to comprehend stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not simple. Yes, like, every student, every kid has a different way of learning, and we need to make sure that, like, we are accommodating for their needs. And I feel like nowadays, at least from the schools that I've seen so far, not a lot of teachers do that. They don't really accommodate for students who need that extra help and stuff like that. Like the kid you were talking about, I feel like he needs more one-on-one time. If not, put him in, like you said, a different type of class. But I feel like they're just not putting enough effort in him.
Yeah, and it's sad. And I just work the after school program, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm more dedicated and focused on his future and him learning than his 8 hours at school, his teacher, his his school system and stuff. And that says a lot. And it's sad.
Well, what plays in part too is the student-teacher ratio.
True.
A teacher cannot handle 35 kids on their own. I've talked to one of the teachers at the school we work at, and she said, yeah, they decided to get rid of one of the grades teacher and just spread out the students amongst the teachers that they already have. Which I was like, oh my God, how many students do you have? She's like, I have about 30-something now. And she's by herself trying to teach all these kids,
Yeah, it's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids, and all of them learn differently.
By the way, we work for elementary school.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Big factor to say. And elementary is just
I feel like that's a key part.
Yeah, but that's a time right there with those kids, with certain kids at least.
Yeah.
Kids from different backgrounds. Some kids might be more rough around the edges than others. Got to deal with a lot of that stuff, but
But that plays a part. The elementary years are their base and foundation of their education. So if they're not enjoying school during their elementary year, they're most likely not going to enjoy it for the rest of the years they're in school.
Not only that, if they're not learning the basics in elementary, once they move up to middle school, they're going to be completely far behind.
Like, listen, the older kids in our school, they're kind of like, they're not very, they're okay at comprehending stuff, but it's just sometimes laziness gets to them. I understand we're after school program, whatever, but like, I feel like they don't have that drive, and I feel like us, I'm not trying to say us as teachers, but like teachers out there need to give them that motivation, be like, learning's cool, learning's fun. You should be motivated to do that type of stuff. And I don't know, there's just so many things that needs to be improved in the education system. Like sometimes some kindergartners don't even know how to use scissors yet. I understand they're still starting up, but like that's little stuff that needs to be introduced already, especially at that age. Cutting, gluing, writing letters, stuff like that needs to be honed on during that time, because those are important skills that students or people need to have, period.
One thing I thought about, because I've worked with just about every group. I know last year I had 3rd, 4th, and 5th before they split 2nd and 3rd together this year. But this year I worked with the 4th and 5th, and we was have some behavior issues, some minor things, but
You'll always have behavior issues regardless, though. But.
Yeah, but one thing that I did with the kids was I had them, write something, basically had them write, and out of that, what I've learned was that they're not being taught the proper way that papers and stuff are set up. How, you put your name on the certain side, in the paragraphs, yada yada, stuff like that. And I feel like that's something that needs to be introduced. I would say starting off in the 3rd grade.
They're supposed to introduce that way ahead of time.
Yeah, because they didn't know how a paper need to be set up, and from that I was just like, dang, so you basically just gonna be figuring this out in middle school.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not hard, but at the same time, it's a skill that they can have now instead of waiting until middle school. So.
Not only that, but like just there's a lot of skills I feel like they're lacking on, or lacking in. I don't know which one to use, but I feel like there's just more that. It's just something with the education system. I'm not saying all education system is like this, because like we said, it varies state to state. Maybe it's different here, maybe it's different elsewhere, but for here, where we're at right now, South Carolina, I feel like there's just not a lot of going up. Does that make sense? It's like these kids are stagnant. They're not really going up the way they're supposed to. And I don't know, the teacher's role really is to make sure that they are taking in all this information and all these skills in their way, the student's way. Because you can't teach a kid to do something in your way because they're not understanding how you're teaching them. That makes any sense. Like, I try to teach you something the way I learned it, but that's not how you learned it.
Yeah.
You're not going to understand what in the world I'm saying and what in the world I'm talking about.
You have to adapt to their child.
Yeah. Every teacher needs to adapt to that child's learning, ability. And I feel like I said, the student-teacher ratio really plays a big part in all this, because if you're going to put 35 kids with one teacher, you need to have at least an assistant teacher or something there as an aide. Because the main teacher needs to be teaching everybody, yeah, but then there's some students you need to put aside and then work one-on-one with them. Either work one-on-one, small groups, something, to where you're honing in on the skills they need to practice on, and that way you can help them develop that skills in their way and on their timeline and how they learn. All that plays a part.
I think that's a big thing too, though, because if you don't have basically, like you said, the teacher-student ratio, like, it's hard. I know, because I have probably roughly about 20 plus kids in my group, and that's hard. There's days I had to be by myself, which, you get the job done. But I only have a certain, like 4 hours, I think, at max with the kids. I couldn't imagine a teacher for 8 hours teaching at that, trying to teach a huge class like that by themselves, or by myself, basically. So, that's a big thing that needs to be adjusted to, because you can't have like 30 kids with one teacher, because there's going to be a few kids who may not be grasping a certain information, and with just having one teacher, it's not much that teacher could do.
Yeah.
So that student may fall behind,
And sometimes the teacher may miss that. And having that assistant or just an aide in the classroom, they might catch on to that and be like, hey, I noticed this child is, falling behind. Maybe we need to work more with him or her. Just stuff like that, little stuff like that. An extra eyeball is always good.
Yeah.
Especially in a class.
And it's not all on the teacher,
No, it's not.
Parents, that's when you have to step in as well, trying to,
Yes.
assist with homework, simple things like that. And I do understand that a lot of parents out there, they don't know the information, themselves maybe. Times have changed, because I can say that from my experience with my parents. My parents is way older. My mom's in her 60s, my dad is in his 50s. And what they learned in their day and time is completely different from now. And so it's a lot of times they couldn't help.
Yeah.
But, simple info like this, like one, addition, to start the basics, basically. As parents, I hope that a lot of you know the basics, Of course, if you come from different countries, this and that, and the fourth, I understand that aspect, but...
And socioeconomics plays a part in that, too.
Yeah, I understand that, but, if you do know or can help your child, don't just leave it in the teacher's hand, also assist with your child to make sure that they're learning the information. Because maybe they're not getting what the teacher say, but, from a little extra help from you as a parent, they may be able to grasp it. So,
yeah, and I mean, parents do parents play a big part in this too. Sometimes maybe you send your kid to an after-school care program like ours. Don't expect them to do the homework with them. Don't expect 100% for somebody else to make sure that your kid is doing their homework.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Sit with them. I get it. You're tired. I know you're tired. You just want to, rest, relax from a long day of work. But that is your child.
Yeah.
That's your responsibility. Make sure they're getting their work done. Make sure they're excelling in every aspect of their life, because you're hindering their education by not caring enough. Like, yeah, you may take care of them by feeding them, bathing them, putting them to sleep. Like, but all of that really isn't gonna matter if your kid is doing poorly in school. They're not really excelling the way they're supposed to.
Yeah. And she says that because, we've seen this personally with,
Yes.
with, parents at our
The
our
school.
location in
Yeah.
our school who,
They expect us to do the homework with them.
yeah, because we had a parent, our boss told us that complained to her that their child wasn't doing their homework or the homework wasn't done prior to them getting home. Step one, that's not our responsibility,
I mean, in a way,
I mean, it is in a way, of course, but at the same time, as
you
a
should
parent,
check behind us.
Yeah, you should check behind. And not only that,
not rely everything on us.
yeah, of course, because it's your child, you want to make sure, because we could be telling your child anything. You might be giving your child the wrong answers, but if you ain't checking behind it, then, or, what if it's a problem we don't know, but so something simple as that. But,
Just care enough.
yeah, there was something I was getting ready to say dealing with that too, but I can't remember.
I guess something with behavior too. This doesn't really have anything to do with the education system.
But I was gonna say, sometimes your child might tell us as counselors, or, hey, I don't have homework, and you can't really go in their belongings and check to see if they have homework. Something that we do is we
Have
tell
them pull
them,
it out.
yeah, because they have a red folder and we tell them to pull it out and we check it. Sometimes, of course, that doesn't mean the kid can't just slip the home. Oh, I almost choked. Can't slip the homework out and put it in their book bag, but
Which I've seen them do before.
yeah, but and if they do that, we can't go in their belongings. So
No, we cannot.
that's not, at that point, it's out of our hands. So
And kids are tricky.
yeah,
Kids are, not tricky, sneaky. So they'll do anything they can. If they don't want to do something, they'll figure out a way where they don't have to do it. Because homework's not so fun, But that plays a part in it.
being a kid, and especially elementary, they don't understand the importance of it. I have to explain that to my kids like every day, because I have a lot of kids that tell me every day, "Oh, I don't have homework. I don't have homework." So,
But then when you check,
yeah, but when I check, they have homework, and then a lot. And one thing that I do, because education is important, they have an hour of homework, and I can say for my group at least, they had an issue with kids talking, and then some kids will get distracted, they'll finish their homework, and what I would do, what I stopped doing, I told them, homework time is absolutely no talking, it's quiet, you need to be focused on your schoolwork. If you don't have any schoolwork, read, draw, I don't care, but I didn't say I don't care, but do something productive during this academic time, and that kind of helped with a lot of kids that used to just procrastinate and get their homework done. But what I did also is, like, even though if it's quiet, some kids will still just wander off or play around and not get stuff done. And what I made them do is, normally after homework they'll have something fun, whether it's computer lab, gym, outside. And if they don't have their homework done, what I started doing is I made them stay behind with me. I have a partner that, a counselor that helps me, and if it's a day I'm by myself, then I have to adjust. But mostly what I'll do is make those kids stay behind and finish it. You can't play or go have fun until you finish your homework.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
As a kid, I get it, they're not gonna understand it, but that playing isn't your future. You can't play all throughout your life. You got to get this education because it's something that's important. So I always stress that to my kids at least.
Yeah. Well, research has had it where if you involve play and learning at the same time, like they'll, what's it called, take in those information more often. But since we're an after school care program, we can't really do that.
Yeah.
So that's why we, like, make sure we distinguish the whole academic time and play time. We separate that, just to make that clear. I was going to say something, but I forgot. But it's just a lot, really, for kids to take in, especially at that age and at that level. A lot of things is going on. We're not 100% sure what's happening at home, which might affect them in school as well. Just a lot plays into part, if that makes any sense. And some teachers do a lot for the kids. They see the kids as their own. I see my kids as my own. I love every single one of them. And I give them my 100%. And I know there's a lot of teachers out there. We were talking about the whole, like, oh, teachers need to do more, just make sure. But also, not all teachers are the same. Some teachers, they're probably teaching a long time. They're just tired. And they're just waking up to teach every day because it's a paycheck. But some teacher is their passion. Teaching is my passion. Seeing kids learn and, watching them be like, oh my gosh, I get it now. That makes my heart, feel so good. Because I know that I helped them learn that. And I know I helped them, improve and enhance their learning abilities and skills. All that. I just love seeing that. But for some, it's just a paycheck. So all that plays a part, regardless of your reasoning on why you go into teaching. I think that plays a part. But I think teachers should be getting paid more than what they already are. Because I'm pretty sure as soon as you get your bachelor's degree in teaching, you don't get paid a lot of money. Most teachers have to get a second job. You watch on YouTube, or I do at least. I watch teacher YouTubers.
It's so weird.
It's not weird. I do it. But
because that must be some teacher type thing.
It is. But I watch teachers on YouTube vlogging their life. They're just sharing ideas. I love them all. But they're doing YouTube because they need that extra income. Or I know someone out there that I had as a high school teacher. She has to serve in order to accommodate for income.
And meets.
Yeah, because some teachers have kids, they have rent, they have, they have bills, they have lives, and they're just not getting paid enough to where it meets the amount of work they do. Because teachers don't just do the clock in and clock out thing. Teachers clock in and they don't ever clock out. Because you have lesson planning to do. You have grading to do. You have all this other stuff to do before you can even go to bed. And then you'll wake back up and do the exact same thing.
And that's sad, honestly. That teachers aren't getting paid anything. And that kind of reflects on how I'm not going to say America, but at the same time I want to say America feels about its education system. It's like it doesn't care, basically.
Yeah.
And they should, because education is too important not to care,
It's what's molding America's future.
Yeah. Because you can't just not know nothing. You got to know something. And in order to survive in this world, you have to know something. You need to know the basics. You need to know how to write a letter, paper. All this stuff is very important. So, and the work that teachers does, they do a lot. And, sometimes you got some...
They do a lot.
I'm going to say rough around the edges kids. And, some teachers got to put up with a dad. And, it's a lot of stress and emotional stuff that goes on with, being in the educational environment.
Industry.
Yeah, in the industry. And it's, for teachers to get paid little, it's sad and it says a lot.
Well, I have a teacher, I don't know what I'm saying. But in one of my classes, we had an alumni from our school who's been teaching for 10 years now. And he was like, yeah, I've had to go to the hospital multiple times out of dehydration because I'm so focused and, constantly moving and trying to, help kids and all that I forgot to even take care of myself.
It do be like that. Even being a counselor now, like being at work I'm always on the go. I'm always moving, etc. Checking on different kids and stuff. So
You don't have time for yourself. You
Yeah,
don't have
like-
time to check, oh my gosh, I need water.
yeah, I don't dehydrate. Sometimes I started to try to bring my water bottle with me, so I will hydrate. But a lot of times, even with me having it, I don't because I'm always doing something. And,
And teachers have to time their pee. Like,
Time their what?
their pee.
can you
Like,
use
you can't just
can you use some more appropriate?
bathroom.
Thank you.
Like, you can't just be like, oh my gosh, I have to go use the bathroom right now. You can only use the bathroom during lunch. Not even recess, because you're out there monitoring the kids out there. And then specials and planning time, which is barely any time. Like, we have a counselor who graduated from CSU as I think, childhood development major. She's an assistant now for one of the classrooms at the school we work at. And she was telling us stories, be like, yeah, I really have time to eat. I really have time to go do this. Like, she's constantly running around doing something, which is crazy. And then you come home and be like, your paycheck doesn't, match up with all the work you just did. And that's really sad. And annoying. Like, if X job doesn't need to have to get a second job, why should teachers?
Yeah.
Teachers do a lot. Teachers are really molding the future. Because without elementary teachers, without middle school teachers, without high school teachers, the future would be nothing. Nobody would know how to write. Nobody would know how to read. Nobody would know math. Nobody would know anything. Education is key to everything. Like, back then, kids would dread to go to school. They wanted to go to school. They wanted to learn. They wanted to...
How you know?
Because of books.
Come on back then. You wasn't there.
Okay.
I'll just play. Go ahead.
It's so much that the education system needs to improve on. Like, with the whole standardized testing. Not all kids test the same way.
I'm one of them people.
Yeah,
I don't see the purpose in standardized testing.
I don't either. It doesn't determine your knowledge. I don't think so. I don't think it determines it. You need to applicate. What's that word?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you need to basically. I think it's applicate. Applicate the knowledge you learned and the skills you learned to something in order for you to show that, hey, I learned this, this, and that. Not, I bubbled this in and it was correct according to the scanner. That's why I'm smart. That's retarded. That's not I don't want to use that word. I don't like that word. But it's dumb. I don't know what word to use. But it's
That's not a great
system.
test.
Yeah. So, there's a better way to do it. There's a better way to, not necessarily test, but figure out.
What a kid knows, basically.
Yeah. But I feel like bubbling in letters and answering questions, is good. But it needs to not just be an A, B, C, D type of deal. It needs to be something where, like, okay, I have this question. How do I apply what I know to answer that question? And I don't know. Like, I love multiple choice questions in college because it's easy. But that's not really you applying what you know and what you've learned. So, that's just it. And
I don't know. It just... I guess that's just...
overall, the education system needs to do more. Not really do more, but, like,
They need to be reevaluated.
Yes, very, very much so.
Mm-hmm. I think that's, at least for me, everything I could think of. I mean, there's so much more possibly that we could think of with the education system, but we don't want to make this episode way too long. Should we address where we are and what we're doing?
Yeah,
And why
go
is
ahead.
all this noise?
Go ahead.
So we're recording in our car because we left from our apartment. And
Struggle is real.
yeah, the struggle is real, and we wanted to, we started out. I was suggesting to skip this week. I was being a bad worker, being lazy, but we got it together. We decided to go record, and the location that we're at a park, but cars keep passing, and that's why you keep hearing these noises.
It low-key sounds like airplanes.
Yeah, and I can't wait when we can be able to afford our own space, record,
Studio,
have fun, whatever.
Yes.
We just
But
wanted
that's
to
why it's
address
really loud.
We want to be real, address why you hear all these strange sounds in this podcast.
And they probably hear people talking too, because I heard a couple people talking.
And
I don't know.
where they are, and I'm looking around because,
Yeah, and the windows are starting to fog up. It's hot. But anyways, I think that's pretty much all we've got to say about the education system. If you have your own opinion, or if you don't agree with something we said, feel free to tell us why.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we want to hear your thoughts too and your opinion about this topic. Your voice matters. Your opinion matters. And we would love to hear it, and we want to share your thoughts. Feel free to comment below or email us your viewpoint. Like this episode if you enjoyed it, or or like it if you think that there's something that needs to be done in the education system in order to improve these kids' education, pretty much. And don't forget to subscribe. We're out on iTunes now, by the way.
Yep.
You can find us by searching Join the Conversation Podcast. Through there, you can subscribe. Listen to all our episodes that we have already on SoundCloud. It's now on iTunes, like I said. Feel free to share our iTunes and our SoundCloud, whichever one you prefer. But feel free to share that, and feel free to leave a rating if you would like. Other than that,
also, I just thought about something. So if anybody out there knows, maybe we talk about all these issues, but how can we solve them? So if anybody really know, because they don't teach you that. They don't teach you how to what to do. So is it that we need to do a petition? What do we need to do to try to change and adjust our education system? How do we get that get that as a community? How do we get our voice to the higher up?
Yeah. So, we're not just complaining. We're looking.
We just want to improve. Things need to be improved, especially the education system. It needs to be improved on.
There's a lot of things in this world that needs to be improved on.
Yep.
And we're talking about it just to bring awareness to it, but we also want to make a change in it so that way we're not just all talk, we're actions as well. We've done it too. We've done a lot of stuff with homeless, and just little stuff like that matters. If you don't know, what you do for other people matters. It's a big deal to them. It may be something really small to you, but to them it may have been the big thing that has happened so far in their day. So make sure you just do the right thing. Keep doing you. Share your blessings.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that kind of got off track, but yeah. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Well, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. We are your hosts. My name is Tristan.
My name is Kimmy.
And we'll catch you on the next episode of Join the Conversation Podcast.